I'm Stephanie. Welcome to Wine Club. This is the playlist where I drink good wine while I whine about bad books. And today's offender is The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin. Whew, buddy, this is going to be an interesting one. As you can see by my shirt, I am just here for the booze. That is very, very, very true for while I'm talking about today's book. And this is really tough because I actually really wanted to like this. Not that I go into any of my books being like, I'm gonna hate this. But the premise sounded so good. I really wanted to like it. And I do like Matlin's writing. She needs to continue to hone her skills. But for me, this was a big yikes. I was so excited to read this month as it sounded like a haunted murder mystery, or a haunted murder house mystery with like a mean character with her own secrets to hide as she strips away the house's secrets. Well, I mean, we kind of got that, but let's see what the book actually promised to be about before we talk about it. A therapist and self-help writer with all the answers, Sarah has just bought a gorgeous Victorian in the community of her dreams. Turns out, you can get a killer deal on a house where someone was murdered. Plus, renovating Blackwood House makes for great blog content and a potent distraction from her failing marriage. Good thing nobody knows that Sarah's past is as tainted as the bloodstain on her bedroom floor. But the renovations are fast becoming a nightmare. Sarah imagined custom avocado wallpaper, massive profits, and an appreciative husband who would want to share her bed again. Instead, the neighbors hate her guts, and her husband still sleeps on the couch. And though the builders attempt to cover up Blackwood's horrifying past, a series of bizarre accidents, threatening notes, and unexplained footsteps in the attic only confirm for Sarah what the rest of the town already knows. Something is very wrong in that house. With every passing moment, Sarah's life spirals further out of control, and with it, her sense of reality. But as she peels back the curling wallpaper and discovers the house's secrets, she realizes that the deadly legacy of Blackwood House has only just begun. Okay, so before I get into my review, I do want to say, like in all my reviews, that this is about the book and not about the author as a person. I appreciate the author's note at the end of this, and it does add some clarity to certain things, but not enough to combat some of the faults in this. Also, there will be spoilers, so do not listen to this if you haven't read it or if you do not want anything to be revealed. So I'm going to start off with some positives, as again, I do think Matlin is a good writer, and she does a great job of creating a tense, spooky atmosphere, like having Reaper the cat clawing at Sarah and walking to the door of the attic. It was so well written. I was actually scared of what was going to happen, and there were some nights that I was like, maybe I shouldn't read this right before going to bed. And especially since I took this on vacation while we were like out in the woods, and it's a scary, spooky read. For most of it. So I will say our main girl, Sarah, is extremely inconsistent. And this book leans into a trope that I absolutely despise. I almost closed the book and was going to DNF when I found out that Sarah is going to be one of those unreliable narrators. One of those that is presented to us as like smart and competent, but then is all, I shouldn't be ingesting alcohol while on these meds, but YOLO. Like, she's just sitting here like, I'm going to do it anyway. And then sit here wondering why I can't remember anything, or days pass and I don't realize it, but it must be this scary house. No, bitch, it's because you're mixing wine with your meds when your doctor specifically told you not to. Where are my competent female protagonists? Please, I am looking for you. And please do not recommend a Riley Sager book, because he cannot write a competent female to save his life. I do apologize. If you love Riley Sager, go for it. I'm not here to spoil that for you. I just think he writes terrible female protagonists. He could have written this one. So, authors, please, I am begging you, stop. Please, stop. I hate this plot device. Stop making our leading ladies so stupid. Even though I loathed the woman in the window, I could understand why our character was drinking while on her meds. I didn't like it, but it worked in the plot and it worked with the character we were given. Here, it makes no sense. Make it make sense. Sarah is not only unreliable, but she is wildly inconsistent, and it drove me up the wall. Like, she starts out as this woman who is trying to present the perfect life on social media, and she's obviously very desperate for outside validation and wants people to like her. Cool. I understand. I can understand that motivation. But then we kind of move away from that, and now she's a shapeshifter from Supernatural who likes to take on people's identities. Okay. But then we also get another twist where she's kind of the weird kid who learned to embrace her weirdness and loves her grumpy cat that she named Reaper, loves inviting monsters into her bed, and really just seems attracted to all things macabre. But then she's back to tricking people and trying to blend in before struggling to maintain her sanity and stay in reality while she's getting sick. But then by the end, she's just a supervillain, laughing at others' misfortune and all, ho-hum, I killed another person. Oops. Oh well. Like, is she completely detached from her own humanity and identity? Or does she know exactly what she's doing and just doesn't care? I sure don't know. All right, if you made it this far, I'm obviously spoiling things, but this is your final spoiler warning. We get the reveal that Sarah is not Sarah. The Sarah we're following is actually Lizzie, and Sarah is her sister, whom Lizzie killed and then took on Sarah's life. Oh, and after stealing her sister Sarah's boyfriend from her too, who is now with Lizzie. Which also doesn't make any sense. Like, we're following Lizzie, who's now Sarah, and her husband, Joe, but his real name is Liam. Liam and Lizzie had to change their identities and flee their hometown after shacking up and betraying the real Sarah. Lizzie keeps saying how Joe is just as bad as her and like they had to run away from what they'd done, implying that Joe killed the real Sarah. But then we find out that Lizzie did and staged it to look like Sarah had unalived herself? What in the what? Like, why would Joe or Liam or whatever the hell his name is go with Lizzie then? Like, he knows he didn't kill the real Sarah. Why does he willingly change his name? Why do they have to change their names? If people think that Sarah's death was a tragic incident of her unaliving her own self, why do they have to change their identities? It almost feels like Matlin had a different motivation and then kind of changed it, but then didn't go back and like get all the pieces put together, or was just leaving those little breadcrumbs in there as red herrings. But once you get to the reveal, it kind of doesn't make sense anymore. Okay. And then also Joe, Liam, whatever his name is, Joe's presence in the book meant very little. And I did not give one hoot about their relationship. I really hated Lizzie / Sarah, and I hated Joe. Like, what did either woman see in him? He is useless. And before the reveal, we keep getting cryptic hints about Sarah's sister and lines like, oh, Lizzie, oh, Lizzie, oh, Lizzie what? This is a stupid red herring that doesn't work once we know what's going on. Sarah would not think this way. I will say it's a very quick read, as it's only 268 pages. But there are times the book feels like it's moving too quickly, and then there are times that it feels like it's moving too slowly. I wish there had been more balance, and we had spent more time on, like, the house, and, wow, that sounded really Minnesotan, the house, and, like, the weird things that were happening there. Like, there's a lot of chaos, and too much happening, and it's kind of just sloppy. Like, even Sarah's descent felt like it happened so suddenly and randomly. Like, she's fine, she's a little sick, and then boom, she is just, like, dead and psychotic. Like, okay. I also have to question, she's posing as a therapist and a self-help guru, though her self-help stuff and her website where she'll be sharing updates on the renovations plays a pretty minor part. like, I really wish it had been built up more and used in more of the story. Like, it's only mentioned when it's convenient to the plot, or we need a way to show what Sarah's, like, thinking, even though we're in first person point of view. Like, if you're gonna commit to the thing of having her updating her website, like, I don't know, commit, do it. And plus, like, if she and Joe are on the run, why would you try to become famous using your dead sister's name? You're on social media. People see your face. People would know who you are. What is going on in this story? Going back to her being a therapist. She has clients. And it kind of read at the beginning like she was in demand and popular, and then immediately has, like, no clients and nobody wants to see her. What happened? What made that switch happen? I wanted to see her, like, pissing people off or letting her mask slip and people realizing, like, ooh, maybe you are not a good therapist. I also want to know how she got so famous so quickly. Like, yeah, she has a self-help book published, but, like, surely a publisher would have looked into her background and degree. And again, what is the point? She doesn't care about her followers. She doesn't care about her clients and wants to be famous, but also shouldn't want that given who she is at the core. I don't understand our character. And, like, I can get behind an unreliable narrator, but you have to help me understand them. And I don't understand Sarah. I don't understand what she's doing or why she's doing any of this. This definitely needed another round of edits and some finessing to remove, like, plot holes, build up some of those secrets and her downfall, and most importantly, to give us a satisfactory payoff. Because that ending, I mean, the house is poisoning everyone, but it also doesn't explain everything, and then tries to go back against the reveal to be like, it was carbon monoxide. Just kidding. The house is actually haunted. Which is it? Like, is the house some sort of Amityville horror house and even Sarah was too tainted for it? Or is it simply carbon monoxide poisoning? I don't want both to be true at the same time, as it undercuts the story. It doesn't work for them both to be true at the same time. Like, either it's a horror house or it's carbon monoxide. Pick a lane and stick to it. I really wanted this to be a haunted house. I wanted this to be someone is watching Sarah and scaring her, and not her leaving herself cryptic notes around the house and forgetting that she wrote them. I mean, I guess it's pretty easy, as homegirl drinks like a whole bottle of wine in like 30 seconds. Which, no, she would immediately throw that up. She cannot consume that much liquid that quickly. I mean, honestly, I'd even have taken it being her neighbors, like, ganging up on her to try and scare her away, and, like, they're sneaking in and leaving her these cryptic notes, or, like, they're making weird sounds. I don't, even that could have had a simple, like, fix. Like, let the scary neighbor, Jeff, just burn the house down. His uncle is the chief of police and seems to not care about looking the other way whenever Jeff does something. Burn the house to the ground. Problem solved. You get rid of Sarah, you get rid of whatever ghosts are haunting this place. Everyone kind of wins. So there were a few other minor things that bugged me. So the book is split into 2 parts, but there's no reason. Like, it's not like we're changing point of views or jumping in time. Like, it's literally, there's just suddenly a page break and a part 2 header. Part 2 of what? Like, oh god, it's one of my biggest niggles that, like, so many books these days are trying to break themselves into parts. And it could just be me. Maybe I'm just too stupid to follow it, but I don't get the delineation of the parts. I don't understand what they're adding to the story. And especially in this, there's no reason for this to have wasted an extra page to be like, part 2. There's barely a part 1. Another thing that really bugged me is in the last 10%, we'll call it 10%, we switched to another character's point of view. that of Emily, a super sweet woman who is just doing her damn best to help Sarah. So we get her point of view for a few pages before Sarah kills Emily and assumes her identity. Like, why? Why did we switch to her point of view then? Again, I do appreciate that this is Matlin's debut, and I hope she keeps writing. At first, I was really enjoying this and like wanting to know what was so wrong with this house and how could it influence those living in it, and like, ooh, what's gonna be like the big reveal behind like the ghosts or this or a haunted house story. That is what I was expecting. I wanted the spooky supernatural shenanigans of renovating a haunted house that originally caused a husband to murder his wife. I was so excited to pick this back up when I was first reading it. It's probably like the first, let's call it 70 pages. But by the end, it became a chore to finish it. The last half just really lost me, and then that ending pissed me off. I'm not sure if the book knew what it was trying to be. Is it horror, murder mystery, psychological thriller, domestic thriller or drama? Yes. I did see a Goodreads review by a user named Aaron M, who summed it up so perfectly when talking about like what the book was going for, or like what the genre wanted to be, like a thriller, a mystery, and so on. She said, "Sadly, it seems like the author herself didn't know the answer to these questions. The result? A jumbled storyline that is part Shirley Jackson, part Jane Eyre, a sprinkle of Gone Girl, a dusting of Lisa Jewell, and a whole bunch of, huh? The individual elements have potential, and the storyline might have stood a chance with a different approach, but overall, the execution is lacking." And I could not agree further with Aaron. I think like that is the perfect way to describe this book. It's a jumbled mess. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know the point it's making. It doesn't know what it wants to do with the characters. They're everything at once, but also nothing. And then the epilogue of showing, no, the house is actually really bad and the house is haunted and is going to hurt this next family that's moving into it. What? Like you again, you cannot have it both ways. It does not work like that. There was so much potential here. And again, I want to give Matlin's future work a try as I saw what she was going for. But this was a disappointment, especially after such a promising start. I rated this 2 stars, and I'd even add half a star as it's a debut. But this was such a waste. Such a good idea that was botched in execution. All right, so that's it for Wine Club. If you have any recs for good haunted house books, I do already have Grady Hendrix's How to Sell a Haunted House on my list for this month. I actually think I might read that next because I need like a good palate cleanser. But if you have any other recs, please leave your suggestions in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you next time at Wine Club. Stop.
I didn't get that.
Stop.
Try again.
Siri, stop.
Okay.
Jesus.